Tyson Griffin, Gray Maynard. I mean,
he's down there getting quality training, and you can see that when he performs because these are consistent performances. We're not seeing him go on hot streaks, lose a couple overseas, perhaps come back here. I mean, he's winning ever since he was in Affliction. When he was in Affliction, he was winning fights. Yeah. So he's built up a lot of good, solid, quality wins, and now he's got a chance to show people what he's got instead of getting stuck on the bottom of the Strikeforce card and getting buried.
Good for him because people, I'm relatively new to the MMA game. I got into it about 2 years ago. No idea who Jay Hiran was before, the Affliction cards and then the hype with Nick Diaz, and I started to pay attention to who he was, and he needs to get his name known. I mean, he's not exactly a young guy anymore, but he deserves. He's earned this spot in the tournament, and if he wins, he's earned that paycheck.
Yeah, he's one of the guys.
Got a bad break the last few years. So
I hope he does well, and it's that champions clause that I mean, I can understand you want to preserve the momentum, that you can build in the promotion.
You built that name, you want to make money off that name.
Definitely. You can't blame him for that. I mean, UFC's got this,
Strikeforce has a championship clause.
Yeah,
the reason Jake Shields got out is he was on his Elite XC contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is a unique situation. That doesn't happen a lot.
Talk about getting lucky.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and that's another case of where Strikeforce, I guess, they just kind of gave up on the fact that, okay, well, hey, you know what? Jake's probably just going to go to the UFC, so we're not even going to talk to him. I remember he was doing interviews at the time when his contract was about to expire.
He said they weren't even negotiating.
They weren't even trying.
They cut him.
Yeah, they basically cut him.
He was supposed to be on the roster for another month.
Well, they were banking on Hendo to win that fight. And then, he comes on there and, he said afterwards...
That was a nightmare. That whole card was boring. There was a brawl at the end, and Dan Henderson lost.
Yeah. I mean, everything that they hoped could have gone right with that card went wrong.
Yeah.
Musasi got destroyed for 5 rounds.
King Mo getting a win can be...
it can be a good thing.
He's got a big personality. He has what Musasi doesn't, which is the big personality.
Musasi's very Fedor-like.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see much from him.
Nickname's the Dream Catcher. Yeah. I mean, come on. What are you going to... This guy's not going to get in anyone's face.
He stole my nickname. That was mine,
I heard that
man.
about you.
Yeah, we're going to have words about that. That's not right there. But, I mean, I think it's an exciting time because there's still a lot of 2011 left.
Yeah.
And so you've got... who knows what's going to happen in Japan, especially with, the terrible things they've been dealing with now. Yeah, definitely. I mean, even before the earthquakes were hitting, the promotions were having big time trouble.
Jorge Rivera jumped ship.
Yeah.
He's fighting. Who's he? He's fighting in just 2 months.
Jorge Santiago, rather.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me. He's fighting Brian Stan.
Which
in a middleweight
awesome
matchup.
Fight.
Yeah. And then and you got to take into account that we're leading up to, I mean, it's still a ways out, but we're leading up to Super Bowl card, New Year's Eve card, both here and overseas. Can FEG hang on that long?
Exactly.
And if they don't, I mean, you have another influx of solid fighters that are going to come over here to the States. And you got guys like Kawajiri already over here. Aoki's fighting this weekend, or tonight rather. And then there's going to be hopefully more guys like that. Not to say that I want JMMA to die or anything, but with the financial state over there, looking at how it does, I mean, it's kind of, I guess, somewhat inevitable right now. And then so you're going to have Bellator going at full steam on NTV2.
Absolutely.
You've got Strikeforce now in Zuffa. And, Scott Coker's already saying that, there's definitely some more professionalism brought over now.
It's so evident. And I think tonight is really going to be apparent. I think tonight's show is going to... I think we'll see a huge up in production.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if there's anything on that particular aspect of the show because Showtime's in charge of all the production.
That's true.
Supposedly. But we don't really know because there's never been any concrete answers on who specifically runs the backside of things, the behind the curtains type stuff.
Yeah.
For Strikeforce, is it mainly Strikeforce and Coker and his guys? Is Showtime doing, rounding up the fighters, bringing them out to the stage, or are they simply production?
I mean,
tonight's going to be fun.
Yeah. What I absolutely can't fathom about them is that they don't fill dead air time with previous fights. I mean, they had Mayhem Miller last year fighting on the undercard. And they had time to fill. They didn't put the fight on. He's one of their biggest names. Mm-hmm. They showed a little highlight package of him getting a win. It was ridiculous. People want to see that. And if Zuffa can have any sort of influence over Showtime on how to better run that show, it'd be huge.
It would be better. It's better for the fighters because some people say that they don't want Zuffa or rather UFC Zuffa, anything like from that established staff and event production crew, maybe meddling with what Strikeforce is doing already. But at the same time, when you think about it, that's kind of it's an immature immature, short-sighted opinion on the UFC's involvement in Strikeforce, because really what everybody always says at the end of the day is they want the fighters to get paid better. They want there to be more opportunities.
I'd like to see good insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
Good God.
And then so, when you take somebody on board that, when you're working with people that have experience doing events like this, like UFC is, obviously the top dog, and you bring them in and they're able to lend some expertise to Strikeforce, which is not as well established, maybe is has some shortcomings in some certain production aspects and just event coordination and things. If you're able to bring some of that over and bring some guys in that have been doing it for UFC, and it makes things smoother, and there's more interest, that leads to better ratings, that leads to better pay, everybody's happy, so I'm excited in that aspect, because if at the end of the day you're one of the guys that is a big kind of underdog fan, you're not a big fan of Zuffa or UFC, which I don't see how you couldn't be. But
fuck the haters. How do people not like Zuffa or Dana White? You guys are insane.
They put on great fights. It's a quality product. There's no denying that. And if some of that can translate over into Strikeforce, you get better fights, and the guys get paid more money.
Exactly. And it's huge for sponsors.
It's huge for sponsors.
These undercard guys, they're living off these sponsorships. Nobody is seeing these logos. Nobody's putting eyes on these brands they're coming out in. All anyone sees is Dethrone. Because that's what the entire Cesar Gracie camp wears. That's what everyone wears. And some clinch. Dethrone and clinch is the only products that Strikeforce people see on
FullTiltPoker.net,
baby. Yeah, come on. Give these other sponsors a chance to get their product on the air. Fill your airtime.
By the way, if you're looking to sponsor the 6 Round podcast, you can contact me. Gray D at 6th-round.com. But yeah, it's gonna just crack things kind of wide open, and we're excited as fans, because that gives more fights that are you wouldn't normally be able to see, because
Bill's names,
these
man. Guys have got to get their names out. These smaller fighters need to,
and especially guys like Jardine, who are looking to reinvigorate their career. If they can get some airtime on Strikeforce, even if I'm not going to say
he's going to get murdered tonight.
Let's say he loses.
Put him on undercards. Give him a chance.
Exactly. Let's say he loses tonight. He just fought one of the best 205ers in the world. In Gegard Mousasi, and then that's. Boom, Showtime airtime, where he's fighting a quality opponent. And if you've got a good showing, or even if you don't have a good showing, the fact was that Keith Jardine's name got out there. He was on national TV, and he fought Gegard Mousasi.
Well, that's perfect example. John Jones, first 2 fights were on the undercard. That Stephan Bonner fight, it was a 3-round decision. But the brass at Zuffa saw it happen, and they said, we have got to get this on the main card. This guy blew up. After that, the people saw what he did to Bonner with throwing him around, spinning back elbows. That was on the main card. Excuse me, but
that spinning elbow is in every highlight package for John. Now. And that's a fight from 2 or a year and a half ago.
It was like his second UFC fight. And they put him right back on the undercard with Jake O'Brien. So what does he do? Hits him with a spinning back elbow, guillotines him. So it's a 1.5 round fight. They throw it on, and Jones just starts to build this huge following.
And look at where he's at now.
And for all I know, there's guys doing that in Strikeforce, and no one would know, because they're not airing any of it.
And then now there's going to be bigger exposure, and not to say that we're going to find another John Jones, but there are going to be more John Jones cases and scenarios where you got guys that have a lot of raw talent and they're growing as fighters. The next Nick Diaz could be on the undercard tonight.
Exactly.
The next. Ben Askren, blue chip prospect, is going to get more airtime, and it's good for everybody. It's good for them. It's good for the promotions. It's good for the fans. It's good for the sport overall. Good for the sport. Kind of this overused term. You can go to bloodyelbow.com if you want to see the term. Good for the sport, bad for the sport. Love me some BE, man. But there's a lot. That's a good spot to go for. Good for the sport, bad for the sport. Articles and
Jonathan
commentary.
Snowden. Guy's always playing the devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate.
Somebody could get stabbed in the cage. Good for the sport,
guys. Baby.
Gets eyes on the sport. But Michael Bisping spitting on people. Great for the sport.
Why are we chastising the savior of MMA, Michael Bisping? Man, the Count, is here to save us all. But just pointing that out, where there are these discussions going on. And there's a lot of intelligent debate. Bloody Elbow is one of those locations, and so you've got the guys that have been supporting MMA for years. like the guys that you're going to find on Mixed Martial